Previously on Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney.
No, we were so close. He was about to tell us. Apollo.
He didn't want us to hear what Maki had to say.
Apollo!
And there can only be one reason why. Why is everyone ignoring me? Oh, sorry. This is it. I know who I'm after now. It all happens tomorrow.
In court.
You're still ignoring me. Hello, I'm Unca Crunk. Welcome back to Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. And we are starting day 2 of the trial. Well, this is it. Today's the day it all goes down. And then there was yesterday. This meeting is over. Sorry. Just give us 5 more minutes. We can call them back after that. Sorry, no go. Come on, piano boy, we're leaving. Darian, wait. I never liked you. Either of you. Huh? Darn it, we were so close. He was about to tell us. Hey, Apollo. He didn't want us to hear what Maki had to say. And I think I know why. Time to bring down a little justice. Excuse me? What was that? It is heard but unseen. Who's that talking? Hey, it's you again. Valegrammery! I exclaimed as he walked in through the door. Normally. You aren't the witness today, are you, Uncle Valent? A preposterous proposition. How could I stand upon the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for the plucking. I might even have to sign autographs. That is why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day. Ooh, with vanishing magic? Indeed. I will jump upon an express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning. Warning? What? A grand glamour resides at the root of all that has happened. Do not forget this truth. Glamour? A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Mistressy though it pains me to part so, I need to get in line for our ticket. Farewell! Poof! And there he goes. He sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. The big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. It usually involves cutting up things like people or elephants, or the Eiffel Tower, anything really. So he was talking about what we saw at the concert. Lamar's disappearing act. And Prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by it being at the root of all that has happened. Well, it's about time. Shall we go? Excuse me, sir. Yeah? The scheduled starting time for the trial has been changed. The trial will not be commencing until 10:30 a.m. Sorry for the inconvenience. What? Did something happen? This is a first. It was by the judge's request. Some urgent personal business. Great, I bet he stayed up too late last night watching courtroom dramas. Apparently, he's visiting the hospital again. Hospital? Oh, right. Guess what the person he's visiting has? Guess. I believe it was mentioned that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently, his condition worsened considerably this morning. The Chief Justice's son? Oh, that's right. Remember yesterday morning, the judge said he had to go visit him after the trial. There's an article about it in the newspaper. If you care to read about it yourself. Incuritis. First case in country. Incuritis? Where have I heard that before? Well,
let you read that article for us, Apollo. Just leave the TV guide page to me. Try not to lose the page with the funnies if you can. July 10th, 10:30 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 3.
My apologies for the delay. Court is now in session for the trial of, how do you say this name again?
Maki Tobai, our suspect fortissimo.
Right. It's his trial in any case.
The defense is prepared, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready to rock. Is something wrong, Your Honor?
No, well, yes. It's just I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. It pains me to see him going through such a difficult time.
Incuritis, was it? That article said there is no known cure.
Dear Judge, let me say with all honesty I feel your pain. But now is not the time for tears. Now is the time for law. Indeed. We left off at quite the juncture yesterday.
Ask Interpol about that number. IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latous.
Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Christian. It's a great help.
Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be in and out.
Hold it! Wait! That voice just now. It was him. I am sure of it.
It was him.
That voice I heard talking to Mr. Latous when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien.
No way!
Quite a sensational ending. Who would have thought Darien would guest star in the season cliffhanger as a suspect? I asked the prosecution to look into this matter. Please tell the court your findings.
Darien Crescend is a member of my band, the Governors. He is also a detective, making the current charges serious indeed. Yet, after investigation, I have found no cause to alter our case or file new charges. And your reason is? Weren't you aware, hair forehead? He has an impeccable ally.
An alibi?
Let us review the facts again, shall we? The concert held on the night of the shooting was in 3 sets. The Governors ripped up the stage during the first set. For the second set, our guest took center stage. The only performers appearing were myself, Lamour, and Maki, along with a drummer and bassist for a total of 5. The shooting in the dressing room, however, took place during the third set. Lamour and the defendant, Maki Tobai, had left the stage at that point, and the Governors were already rocking. This is when 2 shots rang out at the scene of the crime. Shots heard by Detective Emma Skye, mind you. And Apollo, you heard them too, right? I sure did. Furthermore, Lamour herself witnessed the moment of the crime. Well, perhaps I should say she heard the moment of the crime, when she claims to have heard Mr. Latous and Detective Crescend talking.
But that's impossible. Detective Crescend was...
Precisely. Detective Crescend was on stage, getting his groove on, no less. Voila. A perfect alibi.
Does the defense have anything to add to this?
That's true. When I heard those gunshots, he must have been on stage. Still, there's something here that doesn't quite add up.
It appears the defense has no objections. I believe we can safely say that Darien Crescend's alibi has been acknowledged.
Which means that Lamour was sadly mistaken. Her testimony cannot be true.
Very well. Of course, if we disregard her testimony, then I see no evidence keeping us from declaring a verdict. If indeed there are no objections.
No, Apollo, if he declares a verdict now.
But Prosecutor Gavin's case is airtight.
Lemore might have been lying to protect Maki. How can I rely on her testimony? Wait, what about yesterday in the detention center? About the case? What about the case?
He wants to tell us about Mr. Latus's death. This meeting's over.
Darian? Maki was trying to tell us something, I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him, under oath.
Very well, the court finds the defendant, what was his name again?
Objection!
Your Honor! No, that wasn't it. It was something like Marquis or, Mr. Justice?
Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I would like to call another witness. Exactly who else do you need to hear from? A witness who, until now, has not been given a chance to speak in this court. Because he doesn't speak English. You don't mean... I do. The defense calls to the defendant Maki Tobai to the stand.
Oh, what? But he doesn't speak English.
We'll use an interpreter. Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases such as, I love you and where's the toilet? That's an odd combination of phrases to put together. The defense would like to request Lemore as the interpreter.
Lemore? But there's a possibility she's protecting the defendant.
But she'd be interpreting for the defendant. Why would she lie?
This is most unusual.
Bravo here for Ed. Here, Judge. The prosecution agrees with the defense's request. If Lemore lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that.
Well, if both prosecution and defense are for this, I see little cause for refusal.
Finally, some progress.
Bailiff, please show the defendant and Lemore to the witness stand.
I suppose there was a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with, if you would, Lemore. Yes. He says Maki Tabai, the defendant.
This is certainly a first for this courtroom. Not that we really needed an interpretation of that message in particular.
So far, so good.
Very well, Mr. Justice, if you would.
Nah. Oh, if I would what, Your Honor?
Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have him testify about?
What do I want him to testify about? Hadn't thought that far yet. Apollo! Are you going to ask him what he was about to tell us yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he was saying? Excuse me a moment, if I might speak.
Yes, Lemore.
Just now, Maki said there is something about which he wishes to testify. Maki wants to testify about something? Yeah, what could it be?
What sort of testimony is he talking about?
One moment, please.
The suspense is killing me.
What? What?
Will Lemore?
According to Maki, he has proof of his innocence.
What?
This is a surprise.
Yahoo! Victory, Apollo, we did it!
We haven't done it yet. This is sounding too good to believe, and I know what that usually means.
Well, if that's true, then this is vital testimony. Lemore, I mean, Maki, please testify to the court.
Very well. Witness testimony. He says that word of Mr. Latus's death came as a great shock. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song, I, that is he, could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them. That's pretty weak.
I see. He wouldn't have understood the English lyrics to the song. That would prevent him from following them so closely. I wondered what he meant by proof. Why, he would only have to ask Lamar to know the meaning of that song. Lamar, did you ever explain the lyrics of that song to him? I did tell him generally what the song was about, but never in so much detail, and he never asked. As my oft-repeated warning already fled to that forehead, Lamar might be protecting the witness. Well, anyway, let us proceed with the cross-examination. Mr. Justice, if you would. Yes, Your Honor. Something's hidden in that testimony. I know it. I'll just have to trust my bracelet to tell me where. Oh, crap. It worked yesterday. It'll work today. Cross-examination, start. He says that word of Mr. Lutus's death came as a great shock. Were Maki and Mr. Lutus close? Yes, after we traveled around the world on tour together. Lamar, this is Maki's cross-examination, not yours. But I knew the answer. This is a court of law. We'll play by the book. I understand. When Prosecutor Gavin's tough, he's really tough. Maki says he was very good friends with Mr. Lutus. Mr. Lutus was always a gentle man, never angry. We got along quite well. He never dreamed something like this would happen. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song... The guitar serenade, correct? Yes. The crime followed the lyrics of the song. The theft of the keyring, the burning guitar, and the bullet. This is why it could not have been me. I, that is he, could not have done it. What? By could not have done it, you mean... It is very simple. Maki could not have done all of the things that happened that day, for all of those things follow the song lyrics closely. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them. Wouldn't it be difficult for him to perform without knowing the meaning of the lyrics? He did know what the song was about, its mood, shall we say. That was enough to play by. I told him it was a song about a guitar in love. It's not actually the guitar that's in love, strictly speaking. Oh, perhaps I misunderstood. No, not really. Yours is also a valid interpretation. Okay. Does Gavin have a crush on Lamar? No, it is my fault. I am too used to singing in Borginian. It is much easier than trying to understand these English lyrics. Yay, I knew he was innocent. I believe he is too, Trucy. I do. What's wrong, Apollo? You got a tummy ache or something? Something's hidden in that testimony. If it's the truth, I'll find it. Okay, I did not see a single thing. Crap, I don't see anything. Okay, came as a great shock. Oh, I did not mean to press that button. I pressed the wrong button. Okay,
Wait a minute. There it is. Oh. Hit the wrong button again. There it is.
Gotcha!
Maki? You can't fool my eyes. You glanced toward her the very moment Lamora said the word English. Why? And don't bother interpreting that. He understands me. Maki, tell the truth. You can understand English, can't you? What are you saying? Of course you can't. Must he continue this charade? Mr. Justice, Maki says this. I know the word English. Huh? Before coming to this country, he heard me speaking English. He learned the name for this language. That is all. But give me a break. Is that such an unusual word? Is that such an unusual word to understand? Do you not know Espanol, for instance? Well, yeah, but I am sorry, but he truly does not understand your language. But, well, then explain this. How does he know the crime followed the lyrics? Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? Why do you think I became a lawyer? It is simple. So simple it hardly requires an explanation. He read about it in the newspaper. The Borginian newspaper. Wait a minute. That's not true. The newspaper. The Borginian Daily Bugle. You can buy it in this country these days, you know. They have already begun to report about this case in our homeland. Yeah, but they didn't mention the song. Gavin said so. I was right. What is wrong, Mr. Justice? Your eyes, they're quite fierce all of a sudden. Maki is... Oh, that's right. She was interpreting. Never mind. Maki's lying. Maybe time to show them proof that he's lying. And... Where is it? Okay. Doesn't mention the lyrics.
Take that!
I have here a Borginian newspaper, the Borginian Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature article about the case. Could you read this for me, Maki? That's right. It doesn't mention the lyrics. What? What is this all about? I'm sorry, Maki. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in a Borginian newspaper. Well then, what does this mean? But I don't see how it's possible. I know. He must have heard the lyrics when the police were doing their questioning. Yes. Not possible. The subject of the lyrics were not brought up in police questioning. I read the full report myself. So the lyrics weren't in the newspaper and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in this courtroom. In English, no less. The witness will explain himself, or himself. Maki says, Yes? It is true. I read the newspaper. But this is not where I learned of the lyrics. I was mistaken. Now I remember. You remember? He says he heard of the lyrics from me. What? Is this true, Lammeror? Yes. I'm afraid I had forgotten it myself. Then it looks like her forehead's been jumping to conclusions again.
It seems so, yes.
No. I was onto something, I know it. Can't let this chance slip away.
Time is an issue today, Mr. Justice. Are you finished with the cross-examination?
What are you gonna do, Apollo?
If I'm going to keep on cross-examining, I'd better have an angle of attack. Or else.
Yep. My bracelet's still reacting.
Your Honor, please allow me to continue. If you must, you must. Very well. Witness.
I understand. Okay. It was I who explained that the crime followed the song. Am I still looking at him? Okay, there.
Gotcha!
Lemuroir. I'm currently cross-examining Maki. Why should you be uncertain? Me? Uncertain? Yes, you swallowed the very moment you told the court it was I who explained. I see there is little point in trying to hide anything from you. Lemuroir, are you indeed protecting someone? That is not a question with a simple answer. To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself.
Then allow me to answer for you. Lemuroir, you're protecting...
Is she protecting Latus?
Take that!
Damn it!
I'm afraid I don't understand what you're saying. Well, so sad to go through life being so misunderstood.
I don't need your pity.
All right. Who is she protecting? I mean... that seems unlikely. But...
Take that!
nope. Ugh. Okay. All right. I thought they were trying to push me away from her protecting Maki, but apparently not.
Take that!
Lemuroir, you are protecting Maki. That's why you lied and told us that you had explained how the crime followed the song. I don't fault you for trying to help, but this is not the way. Maki, I believe you didn't do it, really. I trust you. But you've lied to us twice, and now you have Lemuroir lying on your behalf. It doesn't look good. If this is going to work, you have to trust me, too. Your two lies cover a simple truth. You understand English. You have to.
Witness, is this true? Do you understand English?
Yes, a little only.
What?
First he could see, now he can talk. And you did not know about this, Lemuroir? No, I did not. It is quite a surprise.
How many secrets is this witness hiding?
This is last. Maki, could you tell us what really happened?
No shooting. I did no shooting.
So you weren't in the dressing room when I heard those 2 gunshots, correct? Apparently, the answer to that question isn't simple either.
I was in dressing room, behind desk. Manager, he on floor.
Which would be after the shooting, right?
Then there is voice.
Voice or voices?
Was it you and Emma, Apollo?
So when Maki went into the dressing room, Mr. Lotus had already been shot. And then we came to the door.
And I take off, ran away.
So it was you who escaped through that air vent. As the prosecution has upheld all along, no less. The defendant has admitted to being at the scene. Might we take this as a confession?
Objection!
No! He's clearly denied that he did it. Ain't no shooting. Manager on floor. Already on floor.
Objection!
The victim had already been shot, you say? I find that hard to believe. The defendant understood the song lyrics. He was at the scene of the crime. This can only mean one thing. He is the shooter. Does the defendant have anything to say to this?
He's clammed up, Apollo.
Then let's ask Mr. Justice. Will you require any further testimony from the witness?
Is that it? Is there nothing else I can get him to testify about? Wait, no, of course there is. What's this cocoon anyway? The cocoon, the silk, is a potent cure. Cure? Well, Maki, are you a smuggler? He won't tell me.
That cocoon has to have something to do with this. Maki, please, tell us the truth for your own sake.
No more speak, not to any of you.
So much for your precious trust, Hair Forehead.
Hey, you're the one who didn't believe him.
Regardless, this brings us to an impasse. It does seem that the defense and defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything more of value should this continue. I see no other course but to declare a 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant so that we might proceed.
Yeah, boy.
11:23 a.m.
Apollo Eustace.
That's justice. Better learn how to say it if you ever want to get some.
Believe. I know shooting.
Maki claims Mr. Lotus was already down on the ground when he entered the room.
Maybe it was a trap and we walked right into it? Suddenly, I hear revolver, close, very close. Then I hear a voice.
You heard gunshots?
Yes, it's true. I hear revolver, but only sound.
Wait, you're saying you went into the dressing room and found Mr. Lotus already dead, and then you heard shots?
If that's true. So, you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those shots? And you escaped through the air vent? I know. Huh? What do you know? I know if I opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage.
So the vents went to both the stage and the backstage area? Is that what he means?
Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo.
Huh. Yeah. But how did you know it was connected like that?
Wait, I bet his father was the architect that designed the hall or something. I hear this from magician.
Magician?
Don't look at me!
A magician, huh?
Well, at least we're clear on one thing. Maki didn't shoot Mr. Lotus.
Yeah, but what does that leave us with?
We're supposed to say he went into the room to find the body, and then he heard the shots.
That one's not going to go over well.
Oh, no, wait.
That one's going to go over well in court. Not.
Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe whatever he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me. I'll just pretend you misheard him every time. So what do we do? You're sure you won't testify, Maki? No talking, no. Well, it was worth a shot. That cocoon. I can't go home. Can't go home? I can't go home to Borginia. I do not want to go home. The penalty for taking a cocoon from Borginia is death. That's right, it's punishable by death. And of course, he's scared. Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to try a different approach. That's the spirit, Apollo. So, what's your plan? If Maki won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to testify. Someone else? I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there. Right. July 10th, 11:28 a.m., District Court, Courtroom, number 3.
Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk.
Very well. So, will he testify?
Your Honor, the defendant will not testify.
But what?
Shame. And here I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle, Your Honor.
A different angle?
If Maki won't testify, then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine the witness in this case, Lemurar.
Lemurar?
Objection!
What are you up to now? I thought we determined yesterday that Lemurar's testimony was insubstantial. There's nothing you can... Lemurar was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries.
What happened?
She was assaulted, Your Honor.
Assaulted?
Someone wanted Lemurar dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself.
What?
I've heard no such report. Prosecutor Gavin? Why would anyone be out to kill Lemurar? Can you think of a reason? Well, think of how she is known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes? Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could that have been?
You don't think?
I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Latouche. The killer was afraid of her, afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in her testimony yesterday. Something that the killer doesn't want getting out. So am I to understand that this is what you are saying? Namely, that there is a nugget of truth in Lemurar's testimony. A nugget we have yet to uncover? Exactly.
If Lemurar was attacked, this has serious implications. Very well. There were some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we did not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear Lemurar's testimony once more.
Lemurar, I must apologize. We must ask you to stand again and speak. You need not apologize. I know that Maki is innocent, and I will do all that I can until the court realizes this. Let's review your testimony from yesterday. You told us you heard 2 gunshots and the shooter's voice through the window, and that the voice belonged to Darian Crescend, yes? That is correct. At which point I proved she could not be correct. She couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed and was found to be quite soundproof.
Damn. You have nothing to say to that, Mr. Justice?
I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there.
There is, it seems, much you do not know. And yet it's my duty to hear him out. Perhaps the witness would be so kind as to testify once more to the court.
Of course, Your Honor. Witness testimony. What I heard. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. That's when I heard them, Mr. Latouche and the detective. I heard the faint sound of a gunshot and stopped. Then I heard another gunshot. There was the smell of gunpowder. I knew I must tell someone, but I was in a hurry, so I kept moving past the small window.
Pretty much the same as yesterday's testimony.
I am sorry. I am not used to speaking much in this language. Perhaps my descriptions are lacking in some way. Yet, everything I have said here is the truth.
And it is my distinct displeasure to say this. What you have said to have happened is impossible.
Do I have to repeat myself? Lemuel was attacked because of this testimony. What, Tracy? Apollo, you know, for a moment there, you were pretty cool.
Oh, maybe I do better when I don't try to think ahead. Very well, Mr. Justice. Perhaps you can coolly cross-examine the witness?
Cross-examination, start. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. Is something wrong? I know I said hold it. She's saying the same thing she said before.
Mr. Justice?
Sorry, it's nothing. Please continue with your testimony.
Now I know what they mean about the reckless youth these days. The one in red over there is a shining example here, Judge.
You're the last person who should be pointing fingers, Mr. Rockstar. That's when I heard them, Mr. Latouche and the detective. Darian Crescend. I did not know his name at the time, but yes, it was him, the one who took the stand yesterday.
How many times do I need to remind you that's impossible? There is no way you could have heard him.
Because the window at the scene was closed. Is that why?
Of course.
Apollo, if we keep asking the same questions as yesterday, we won't get anywhere.
Yeah, she's right. Maybe there's a different angle I can try?
What were they talking about?
Clemore, do you by any chance remember what they were saying to each other? If so, please tell us.
I have given it much reflection, but
I was afraid of this. She doesn't remember.
I only heard one phrase clearly.
A whole phrase? You remember something that was said?
Why didn't you say anything yesterday? Though my memory is clear, I was afraid to speak. You see, I do not understand what was said.
This could be it. The clue I've been waiting for.
What did he say? It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Latouche.
The shooter, then.
Darian Crescend.
Well, what did he say?
It's over. Press the switch. Now.
What? Switch? And the shooter said this to the victim, Mr. Latouche.
I thought it quite strange myself afterward.
It is a mystery. What could it possibly mean? Mr. Justice, care to shed some light on this?
I mean, sure. I'd be delighted. Some very, very vital. Maybe we could add that to the testimony. Maybe, Apollo?
I think I know what she's talking about.
From the small window, I heard a voice say, press the switch, now. Is it this switch?
Objection!
Press the switch. There's only one key that can unlock the mystery of those words.
Oh? Yeah, there was nothing at the scene that could be called a switch. Save the lights.
True, there wasn't a switch at the scene, but it just so happens I have a switch right here.
That certainly does look like a switch, doesn't it?
The problem is, this was found not at the scene of the crime, but on the stage.
The stage?
Where the concert was held, yes. This was found hidden there. On the stage.
Are you claiming that the voice Lemur heard was of someone commanding another to press this switch?
There's a possibility.
Objection!
Oh, Hair Forehead, I'd call that an impossibility. Why?
It's hardly necessary for me to remind the court of the layout of the concert forum. The stage is quite far from Lemur's dressing room. Not to mention that the Governors were in the middle of a concert on said stage. We aren't known for being a quiet band. You could shout all you wanted and not be heard.
Headsets. The detective's voice was loud, but certainly not a shout.
So too have Hair Forehead's cries of possibility fallen far short of being heard.
Sorry, but he wouldn't have needed to shout.
Excuse me.
You heard what I said, or do you need me to shout it out for you? It would have been quite simple to be heard on that stage from that dressing room. Oh, wait, you like evidence, don't you? How about this? Using this, it would be easy to get a message to someone on stage from the dressing room.
Take that!
Prosecutor Gavin, perhaps you're familiar with this.
What? Wait, that's...
What? What is it? Is that some kind of newfangled phone they invented while I wasn't looking?
This is a type of transmitter, a communications device.
Communications? Device?
From what I've heard, that night, everyone on stage was wearing one of these. Isn't that right, Prosecutor Gavin?
Yes, actually. They're for talking between band members. We all had one on.
So you admit that if you were wearing one of these, talking from the back stage to the stage would be simple.
Objection!
True, but wait. Those send out an electrical signal. To avoid interference with the audio systems, their range is quite limited.
Lemur said it was about 30 feet, right? Look at this cross-section diagram of the concert forum. Exactly. The walk from stage to backstage seems far, but the direct distance is less than 30 feet.
That can't be. So when Lemur heard the shooter's voice, he could have been talking to someone on stage.
Objection!
Ha! You're claiming that this is the switch in question? Why did it have to be on the stage at the time? It could have been placed in a pocket and carried anywhere. Someone could have hit it on the stage after the fact.
Hey, he's got a point. How do we know where it was when she heard the voice? When the shooter says, press the switch. Well, I guess we don't.
An unfortunate situation. I'm afraid that until we know where the switch was, there's little point in debating it. Ah!
I was sure this was the way to go with this.
What is this switch anyway? We don't even know that basic fact.
Actually, we do. Wait a second. I do know what this switch is. And if you follow that train of logic to its incredible conclusion, it ends up in proof that completely changes this case. What's up, Apollo? Apollo? Hello? We know all about this switch, right? We know what it is. Yeah? Well, think of when it was used that day. Think of what happened.
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further information to share concerning this switch... Your Honor! Yes, Mr. Justice?
I've been remiss in not telling the court this before, but I know what this switch is.
Well, it seems the defense is set upon linking this switch to the case. Let's see your evidence of the link. What evidence do you have to explain what this switch is?
This!
Take that!
Prosecutor Gavin, you remember this?
That's...
That what? It's another one of those newfangled phones.
This is an igniter. What phone looks like this?
Igniter? You mean it's like a lighter?
Yes, actually.
You aren't saying this switch is a remote?
I am. This is a remote trigger for an igniter.
What?
Look, I'll show you.
Mr. Justice, you will cease and desist from burning down this courtroom.
Sorry. That was a bit more fire than I expected.
If my whiskers had caught on fire.
Prosecutor Gavin, let me repeat myself. This switch is a remote igniter trigger. Doesn't that suggest something to you?
You're talking about what happened to me, aren't you?
Ah! Exactly. That night at the concert, there was one unusual burst of flame. When your guitar caught fire in the middle of your performance.
Wasn't that part of the stage show, though?
Prosecutor Gavin was entirely unaware that such a thing had been planned, and the guitar that burned was a valuable keepsake. That's right. He got it in Burgundy from Lamour. He said the sound was amazing, before it burned, of course. Now it just kind of smokes.
The better the guitar, the brighter it burns. Your forehead.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you're trying to tie these two things together. Those being the shooter's voice, heard by Lamour, and the guitar suddenly catching on fire?
I am. It's really simple when you think about it. Mr. Latouche and the shooter were at the crime scene. The shooter was wearing a headset. He ordered someone on stage to press the switch. The switch was pressed, and the guitar caught fire.
Well, that does seem to make sense. Though something about it is bugging me. Can't quite put my finger on it.
Really? Seems pretty simple to me.
Objection!
Fair forehead, don't destroy what little respect I have for you.
Okay?
I was expecting something a little more sensible. I guess I was wrong. What's this all about, Prosecutor Gavin?
His simple story simply makes no sense. Think, that night my guitar caught fire, yes. The cause may have been this indeed. However, the guitar caught fire during the second set.
That's right. Of course. The guitar caught fire during Lamour's set.
Indeed. Yet the shooting happened during the third set. The two are utterly unrelated.
Yes, that must have been what was bugging me. The whole premise for this is faulty.
See? His story makes no sense.
Objection!
Are you sure about that?
What exactly do you mean, Mr. Justice?
Maybe it's not the premise for my explanation of the switch that's at fault. Maybe it's our premise for the entire case so far.
What premise is this, specifically?
I'm glad you asked. I'm saying that maybe the killing didn't take place in the third act.
Objection!
What's this? But Detective Emma Skye heard the shots and found the body. All of this happened in the third act.
Objection!
Gunshots rang out, and according to his testimony, Maki was in that dressing room at that time.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Justice?
Stay with me, Your Honor. He also told us this in his testimony, namely that the victim had already been shot. We all heard the gunshots, but no one saw the shooting.
This is insane.
Just before the shooting took place, the shooter was heard on his headset, telling someone to press the switch. The next moment, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. We know that a remote triggered igniter was inside the guitar. From all these facts, we can draw only one conclusion. The crime did not take place during the third act, but during the ballad performance, the second act. What?
Order! But that goes against the evidence.
What does, Your Honor?
This crime was carried out in according to the lyrics of that song, yes?
Hey, he's right. Look. The bullet is supposed to come from after the fire. Oh, you're thinking about it the wrong way. Huh? Look. Why would the shooter craft the events of the day to follow the lyrics anyway? It's an awful lot of trouble to go through, with little merit for the person doing it.
Well, I'm sure whoever it was had some reason.
Yes, they did. A reason that made it advantageous to follow the lyrics.
You're saying the order was reversed on purpose? Reversed, Prosecutor Gavin?
If the criminal followed the lyrics strictly, then yes. The shooting would have had to come after the guitar burst into flame. Yet, Hair Forehead has raised another possibility. He's claiming that the bullet came not after, but just before the fire.
Couldn't put it better myself. We were only meant to think that the shooting came after the guitar burst into flame. That was the criminal's objective. The crime followed the lyrics to a point, but that was the ruse. Why else would the killer risk discovery by moving the body? That was the final touch to make us think he'd followed the lyrics the whole way.
Order! That would explain this most unusual situation.
It does. The killer changed the order of events to create himself an alibi. In other words, the killer was someone who had an alibi for the third set, but not the second.
Objection!
I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but sadly, it has. Let me tell you why your little fairy tale makes no sense at all. Eh? Oh, it sounds good, I'll give you that. You've given us a reason why the killer You've given us a reason why the killer bothered following the lyrics of my song. But I question your logic, for it's flawed from the very beginning.
Flawed.
Yes. A contradiction, Hair Forehead, one I've pointed out several times, no less. At the time of the crime, the small window at the scene was closed. How could Lamour have heard a voice through it?
Ow.
I know that you would like to divert our attention from this critical fact, but you're basing your entire line of reasoning on a false premise.
Right.
Lamour's testimony is my entire case. That voice she heard, the shooter's voice.
Now, what if she couldn't hear it, Apollo?
Look, what do we have? A man saying press the switch. And near the crime scene, we have a switch, which acts as a remote trigger for an igniter. And last but not least, Prosecutor Gavin's flaming guitar. Can't all be coincidence, but how do I make it work? I see a more direct line of questioning is required. When the crime scene was investigated immediately after the crime, that window was closed. Care to tell us how Lamour heard the voice?
A key point to be sure. Mr. Justice, can you explain this to the court?
Yeah, okay, Justice, you've got one thing to prove and one thing only. Lamour heard a voice, and she heard it during the second set, during the illusion. Think, how was Lamour able to hear the voice? She was somewhere else. When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it had it been open either, meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through that window.
It's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment, I was afraid you might be Borginian too.
As I was saying, Lamour could not hear the voice through that window. So there can only be one alternative. She heard the voice from another location entirely.
What's this?
You do amuse me so. And here I thought you and Good Sense were back on speaking terms. Now, I'm afraid you and Good Sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret for you, Hair Forehead? Lamour clearly stated she heard the voice through that small window. And there's only one small window at the scene.
Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at the scene? There is?
Oh, I know that look. He wants us to ask him. Very well. You claim Lamar heard the voice from another location. Mr. Justice, show us where this location was.
Lamar heard the voice from here.
Take that!
Does this look like a small window to you, Mr. Justice?
The state of modern society can be read from numerous objects and artifacts. In a sense, anything can be a window on our society.
Didn't ask you to point out a window on society. I want a window on the crime scene.
Damn it. No points for trying? All right.
Take that!
This is where Lamar heard that voice from.
But that's no small window. That's the air vent.
What did she tell us? She said she's a Porkinian, unfamiliar with our language. It's not a stretch to imagine she called this air vent a small window.
Objection!
Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous and into ludicrous. So Lamar was up in the ventilation system listening to this man's voice? Well, that's the only logical explanation, yes. Logical? I do not think this word means what you think it means, Herr Forehead. Okay, what about this isn't logical? Ha! It hardly merits saying. Why would Lamar be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat. No offense intended to her, of course. The explanation for that is simple, Prosecutor Gavin. Isn't it, Lamar? You have been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit, it's had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed. But why should that mean I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecutor might himself need an interpreter. The problem here is words. Lamar, this small window through which you heard the voice, was it up high on the ceiling of the room, not low on a wall? Yes, it was up on the ceiling. What? Ha ha! We're finally getting somewhere.
Order! Order! I will have order! Witness, you will clarify this statement to the court. Are you in fact saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room? And that's where you heard the moment of the crime?
Yes, in fact I was. I am sorry, I never imagined it would become such an important point. Yeah, well, why the heck were you up there?
I believe it's time for another testimony.
I'm not sure I can't.
May I remind you this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling of that room. Please.
Well, looks like I'm on the right track. Witness testimony. Above the ceiling. Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice. I had heard there was a small window there before. I was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report what I had heard. As to why I was there, I cannot say. I am bound to secrecy on this matter. It was the illusion.
Bound to secrecy?
In my line of work, one has many obligations to uphold.
But you say you were in the middle of your performance. So this did happen during the second set.
I did not witness the crime, you must understand. I only know what I heard.
Yes, but you must tell us what you were doing in detail.
That's what the cross-examination is for. Ja, Herr Forehead?
Yeah.
Our mission in this court is to discern the truth. No obligation, no binding pact may hinder that mission.
Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination.
What are you going to do, Apollo? I'm going to find out the truth. She was up above that ceiling for a reason. I just have to get it out of her. Cross-examination, start. Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice.
Hold it!
Above the ceiling, could you be more specific?
I cannot.
Because you're bound to secrecy.
Yes. To tell the truth, I was not supposed to even say I was above the ceiling. I dare not say more.
Ah, doesn't sound like I'll be able to coax it out of her just by asking.
Okay. I had heard there was a small window there before.
Hold it!
By small window, you mean the air vent?
I only remember what I needed to be careful of or where I put my hands and feet. I cannot see the light coming through the window, of course.
The air vent grate could trip you up, certainly.
So I was walking very carefully when I heard the gunshots. Startled, I crouched and listened. That is when I heard his voice coming from the room.
Darian's voice.
I knew something terrible had happened, yet it was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report what I had heard.
Hold it!
So, without a word, you just let the third set start?
After the curtain closed for the second set, there was still much to do.
You could have prevented this whole misunderstanding if you'd only told us this sooner.
Yes, perhaps I could have.
I see little point in badgering the witness. What's done is done. The mind works differently when one is in the middle of a performance. Why, I've lost my voice in the middle of a show and kept on singing, completely unaware.
Okay, that's, I'll bet that's something that's actually happened to somebody.
Singing without a voice? If only all contradictions were so obvious. If only I could get Lamar to talk. Pressuring her like this doesn't seem to be getting me anywhere.
As to why I was there, I cannot say.
Hold it!
You heard the gunshots during the second set, during your performance. You're quite sure.
Yes. Why would I lie about the time?
Why didn't you tell us this yesterday?
No one asked me. I thought you all knew. I told you Maki was not the killer. I told you this many times.
Yes, you did. But you never told us why.
I am sorry. Oh my God. I was not able to speak on it, and you didn't ask me. I mean, if you had asked me why he couldn't have done it, I could have just told you that he was busy playing the piano at the time. But you didn't ask. And I wasn't supposed to talk because it all happened during the performance of a magic act.
There it is, magic act. I knew it.
Yes, but I haven't canonically said that yet. You're just improvising.
Damn it. Unable or unwilling? She's not talking, Apollo. What do we do?
We'll just have to prove it ourselves. As long as she is bound by this pact of silence, she won't talk. But if I can prove why she was up there, she'll have to admit it.
But how are you gonna do that? She was singing on the stage, Apollo. She couldn't have been up above the ceiling too.
Yeah, she could.
I've got a theory as to why too. A magic theory. And maybe I've got the evidence to prove it.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have to go back. Awesome. Oh wait.
I am bound to secrecy on this matter.
Okay,
let's see. How do I prove it was the magic act?
Oh, right. This.
Objection!
Lemur, truth be told, the reason for your presence above that ceiling is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance.
What happened?
Yes, it's all right here on this video. And boom. It's magic. I just noticed. She's not wearing a brooch over there, but she was wearing one on the stage. So she dropped her brooch while she was going through the what's name? Air vent. Air duct. As we can see, Lamar was clearly not on stage for her entire performance. Though it saddens me to be so realistic, Lamar is incapable of actually vanishing, let alone teleportation. So the only explanation is that she was hidden from view. And during that time, she moved to the back of the forum. Apollo! Watch, Rusty. It's not nice to reveal a magician's secrets, and it's against the rules. But I'm a lawyer, I'm not supposed to be nice. Also, I'm not a magician, which means I am not bound by any magician's secret code or whatever it's called.
This is all very fascinating, but how is it possible? There's only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast.
Okay. She wasn't the one on stage with Gavin. And he knows it.
Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin?
This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed.
Aha!
He's just realizing his own oversight. Let's look at the cross-section diagram again. Here we can trace a route through the ceiling. It goes from the stage, through the backstage, to the rear of the forum.
Oh!
Recall Lamar's testimony from yesterday. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it.
She went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this route above the ceiling.
Lamar knew of this because of her part in the illusion, but she wasn't the only one who knew.
What?
Just now in the lobby, Maki told me something. I know if I opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage.
He said that?
Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin?
I knew about the Vanishing Act, of course. Yet I had no idea of the route that would be used. Why didn't that magician tell me?
Magicians only reveal details of their acts on a need-to-know basis. They're the bread and butter of a magician's life, you know.
Which is why he bound Lamar to secrecy. Well, Lamar?
I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Maki was right about you.
So, what does this mean, exactly? Are you saying you used this route above the ceiling?
I did.
Well, that's that. I'm still a little confused.
Why is that, Your Honor?
As I said before, there was very little time between when she disappeared and reappeared. 20 seconds tops. How could she do it so fast? Especially if she stopped to hear the shooter's voice.
That's a good question.
Can the witness explain this to the court?
I cannot.
Very well, Mr. Justice.
Yeah.
It's all up to you. Do your thing.
What thing, Your Honor?
You need to explain how Lamar was able to teleport like she did. Or I'm throwing your case out with the bathwater.
Why do I get picked on? It's Lamar who isn't going along with the program here. As I have stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail.
Then you'll just have to tell us what you can. We'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it will be your job to wring the truth out of her.
Yes, if you would, please. Right. Feel like a student before finals. Good luck, Apollo.
Nah.
Witness testimony. The big illusion. I followed the route exactly as I was instructed. There is an emergency exit in the backstage where a stagehand waited. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side of the stage. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. I was on my way when I heard the voice.
2 minutes, you say? Mystery deepens.
I suppose it was too much to hope that the judge would come up with something.
As does my curiosity. Take it away, Mr. Justice.
Right, Your Honor. All I have to do is find the contradiction between what Lemroir is saying and what we can see plainly in the video. I figured it out already. I am a magician, after all. Well, tell me. Not a chance. I can't reveal another magician's secrets. Come on. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here. Yeah, but I do want to be a professional magician, and if it gets out that I started telling tales on other people, then I would be blackballed faster than you can say Penn and Teller. Oh, well. Cross-examination, start. I followed the route exactly as I was instructed. How did you, proceed along this route? How? I walked. But you arrived behind the forum much too fast to have been walking. Tell the truth, Lamar. You rode some kind of vehicle.
What? A vehicle? What vehicle?
What a novel idea. I like it. Hey, that's not a bad guess. Wrong, but not bad. Yes, laugh at the dumb attorney. I don't mind. I'm sorry, but the girl is right. That vent was much too small for vehicles. It was a tight fit. Even I had to crouch as I walked. I cannot imagine a vehicle that would fit in such a small space. If it wasn't a vehicle, what was it?
You had me going for a while there, Mr. Justice. Too bad. Ready for the next part?
Why do I feel like I'm on some kind of quiz show? There is an emergency exit in the backstage where a stagehand waited. Did everyone on the concert staff know about the trick? Not all. Only a few that were needed to help. See, like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. So, not many people knew about the trick.
What were these stagehands required to do?
One needed to open the emergency exit. The door to the stairs is locked, but once through there... From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side from the stage. So, when you came back out, you were behind the audience? Yes, that is how it worked. Not a bad show, if I say so myself. That's Uncle Valid for you, the old grammar retouch.
But on the video, you were only gone for 20 seconds. How is that possible?
That's the part I don't get either. Yes, it would be hard to go so far in only 20 seconds. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. 2 minutes? Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you are running. Running? In that cramped dark tunnel above the ceiling? Mr. Attorney, have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me. That's true, but...
So you're saying that on the night of the concert, you made the trip in 2 minutes?
Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway. Lemroy disappears on the video for 20 seconds. But she says she made the trip in 2 minutes. Ow! If you want my professional opinion, I bet the answer's right there in that video.
Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us? Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony?
Evidence explaining the discrepancy? Yeah, actually, there is. I pointed it out during the video. There's one piece of evidence that explains the discrepancy between video and testimony. That.
Take that!
Lemroy, do you happen to remember this brooch?
Oh, the brooch. We saw that yesterday, did we not?
It was found at the scene, Your Honor. And you're bringing this up now
Why? I thought we had already determined when that would. I thought we had already determined when that was dropped.
Yeah, so did I, but we hadn't. Take another look at the video.
Brooch?
Here you can see she's wearing the brooch.
So she is.
Let's look a bit later. No brooch.
What? The brooch is gone.
What? Yeah. The brooch disappeared in the short space of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there can only be one explanation. The Lemroar we see before the vanishing act and the Lemroar we see after are two different people.
What?
The brooch was found on the floor at the crime scene. And not just on the floor, but on the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lemroar, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage at the very moment you witnessed the crime?
Yes, I think I did. Order! Prosecutor Gavin! From your expression, I gather you had no idea this was the case here, Judge. I, of course, knew about it.
What?
Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it, it just never occurred to me that the switch and the shooting took place at the same time.
So, I was right? There was a switch?
There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lemroar was replaced. While we're on the subject, just who was this replacement Lemroar? Why, the man behind the illusion. Valiant Gremory.
Yeah, what's Gremory? That's quite the illusion, but still don't get one thing. Yes? The switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So you weren't on the stage.
That's right.
But this fake Lemroar is still singing. And she's pretty good.
That's true.
Come on, Apollo, that's an easy one. They were just playing a recording.
The Governors aren't some kind of air guitar band, Fräulein.
Oh, you mean I'm wrong?
When we play a show live, we play live. No recordings. Perhaps you can explain, Lemroar?
Very well.
Yes, do tell, and add it to your testimony.
I had to keep singing, even while I moved.
Hold it!
You were singing? Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings, so I used this. Ow! Wait, so you were singing the whole time? Even when you were crawling above the ceiling toward the backstage? Why should it matter where I sing? Why should it matter where I sing when everywhere I go is the same darkness? The acoustics in that air duct must have been terrible.
But if you were singing while you were walking...
That's right. Wouldn't the shooter and the victim have heard? She was singing right over their heads, after all. Well, there was that really loud speaker. That's right.
Are you sure?
You'd have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the ceiling.
Once again, we come back to the state of the scene of the crime.
To what state? Ah, I know what he means. The little speaker, Apollo.
The speaker?
That speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. Yeah, that's for monitoring the stage from this room. Monitoring? It pipes in a real-time feed from the stage microphones. Useful for knowing when your set is coming up.
Satisfied? That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing a direct feed from the stage. At my request, actually.
So Lemroar singing in the ceiling sounded just like some Lemroar singing over the speaker.
Ingenious! Her voice was hidden by her voice!
Ah, Lemroar, I have just remembered something.
Do tell.
When I heard the noise, the gunshots, yes, it startled me, so I stopped singing.
What?
I forgot the words I was supposed to sing.
The song stopped?
Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse, so not many would notice.
Forehead, that mixing board I lent you, where is it?
What? That machine, Apollo, the one that breaks music into tracks. Oh, this. I'd completely forgotten about it. Let's take a listen. So that's why this thing was here. Okay, so she's on track 1. The song does stop there.
It does? I must have missed it.
Look at the lyric sheet at the top of the second verse. Oh, pleasure, pleasure. See where it says pleasure, pleasure? Now listen again. Oh, God, no. No, we get it. Oh, my God.
This is evidence indeed. I believe we are guilty of making a terrible mistake.
The crime didn't happen during the third set. It happened during the second, during Lemor's ballad.
If that is true, then no one on stage during the second set could have been the shooter.
Which means that Darien Crescend could have done it. He wasn't on stage for the second set. Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
Fascinating. I don't believe I've ever seen a trial turned around quite so thoroughly. Yet one problem remains. What's that, Prosecutor Gavin?
Her Forehead's theory does have a certain kind of logic to it. Yet it is entirely based upon Lemor's testimony.
Yes? Is there a problem with this?
Well, it's quite simple, though it pains me to say it. What if she is lying to protect the defendant?
But you have no proof.
All I'm saying is that the truth is as yet unclear, until we hear directly from the man himself.
The man? You don't mean...
Yes. Though he is a friend and band member, Darien Crescend must take the stand. I see no other way.
As someone with a new perspective on the case?
As a suspect, to be frank.
Oh my God, he really does actually care about the truth. I am falling in love with Clavier Gavin. Finally, the rat's coming out of his hole, and I'm ready to catch him. Darien Crescend, get ready for justice.
This is as good a time as any to pause for a brief recess. The prosecution will summon the witness. Have him here and ready by the time we begin.
I'm the last man who needs to be reminded of what his duties are.
Very well. Court is adjourned for a 15-minute recess.
Oh my God, to be continued in the next episode to the outro. Okay, so the murder happened during the second act, not the third, which clears Maki and provides opportunity for Darien Crescend. We don't actually have a motive yet, though. I mean, I'm almost certain that the cocoon Maki was probably smuggling is going to at least be a part of it, but I wonder if Darien is connected with the Chief Justice or his son strongly enough to try to steal the thing and murder Romain Latouche to cover up the theft. Every single one of my theories so far on this case have been wrong, so it's probably something far more crass than that. So next time, we will put Darien on the stand as a suspect and hopefully get to the bottom of all this. In the meantime, up here's a playlist of my Danganronpa V3 playthrough, and down here is a video that YouTube recommends. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!